I guess really would. So I guess I have to start from the very beginning. So when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, my grandma was kind of like my life. She pretty much raised me, you know. And we were really close. And my cousin had invited me to go to church, and I didn't really care about church too much, you know. But there was pretty girls there, so I went for that, right? And I got involved. I got involved in like the choir and all kinds of different stuff like that. And a couple years into it, she was diagnosed with throat cancer, and I started praying for her, and she died. And that was kind of like it's a huge thing for me, huge. And then about 2 months later, my cousin, who I really highly looked up to, committed suicide at 17. And that kind of just sent me over the edge, and I kind of just turned my back on God completely and was like, if this is what you have for me, then I don't want nothing to do with it. And I literally hit the streets running, got involved in drugs and gangs. I was very athletic and stuff, and just lost all that. And while I was out there in the world, I accumulated a lot of friends involved in gangs and different things like that. And, I lost a guy who was kind of pinnacle in the music industry at that time, who came out of Antioch. And after I got cleaned up in a little bit, and then saved, and I was kind of walking with the Lord, like, it's like just a little bit after that, actually, before that, my uncle had an issue with his stomach where he had to have a breathing tube and he had to be fed intravenously. So after years of that going on, one day he called his son and was like, you okay? Everything good? And he was like, yeah. And then he went in the room and he told his wife, I love you. And then he walked in the laundry room and shot himself. And then a little bit after that, the music guy I was telling you about that I had become friends with, he was at his girlfriend at the time, I guess, had died in a car accident, and he was overcome with grief. And he was, talking about suicide and stuff like that. And I guess the people were really, the person was really like challenging, like, no, you won't, this and that. And he got up, I guess, took a couple steps off the porch and shot himself. So it's like all this stuff, right? And I was really like, what's the word? Insecure about myself, and just had always been, because of a lot of things that had happened to me from a kid, just being molested, being introduced into like sex and all that kind of stuff at a really young age, and so I had like all these insecurities and things like that. Well, while I was in the world still, I got married, had kids, the whole kind of shebang, right? And so all this stuff was going on, and then some of the stuff was going on while, I'm married and all that. And I got out of a program, and on a pass, like they give you a pass to get out. And I got out on this pass, and my brother had got saved, which led my parents to get saved, which they brought my ex to get, to come to church, and then so they invited me to come, and so I came up, and the senior pastor was right there, and he like walked up to me and shook my hand and told me he's so glad to see me, and kind of just like took me under his wing and just like showed me nothing but love. He knew everything that I was coming out of, and he never looked at me funny or treated me weird by it, you know. Well, he pretty much like, after I had gotten, you know, clean, I ended up going back into the world and kind of, you know, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. But then on Sunday, I would come to church, you know, but I'd do everything crazy during the week. And, I ended up going. Well, I got shot, and then after I got shot in a drug deal, about, I don't know, a short time after that, I gave my life to Christ. And when I gave my life to Christ, like, I don't know, everything changed. My whole everything changed. And my pastor really drew me close, and then he told me that the Lord had spoke to him and wanted to bring me into an internship pastorship program. And basically 3 years after that, I was ordained as a pastor. In the middle of that, we started doing Christian music, which exploded and took off all over California. So there's like all this crazy stuff going on, and the church was thriving, and all of a sudden, we, as a church, we decided to move to a school, and the school became the focal point of the whole entire church. And so now, instead of outreach, everything was about inreach, you know. And I seen some shifts happening, but I was just kind of like, you know, I was busy. You know, I'm out in the streets, you know, evangelizing. I'm doing shows every weekend, every other weekend. Just going, and anything I felt like God was saying to do, I was just like, all right, I'll do it. And so I just would. And so I guess things started getting kind of crazy at the church, and I was hearing about it, but I wasn't around to see it, you know. And I would come and I would do like youth pastor stuff, you know, and work with kids, and ended up being like a co-youth pastor with a really good friend of mine. And we got kind of left alone. It was like me and him. Nobody checked on us. Nobody made sure we were like teaching out of the Word of God. Like, but we were both very zealous for the Lord. So, you know, there was all that going on. And anyway, as I seen the fall of that stuff, like all these news articles came out, and there was some fraudulent activity that was being thrown. And my pastor, like, he called me up one night, and he was just like, hey, you know, I just want to let you know I'm really sorry for everything that you're hearing right now. He never called me. I always called him, but he never called me. And he was just like, oh, I'm so sorry that all this stuff is going on. And, you know, I just want you to know I love you. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, well, you know, whatever is going on, we're going to get through it. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what happens. Like, if they say in jail, what's up? We're going to have a prison ministry. Like, it doesn't, you know, that stuff can't stop us, you know. But I didn't say everything I wanted to, you know. And one day I was in my studio, and we were like just talking about the Lord and stuff, and a friend of mine called, and he was like, man, I'm gonna come over right now. He's like, I'm so sorry, bro, I'm on my way. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, bro, your pastor's gone. I was like, what? Nah, you tripping. He's like, nah, man, he's gone. And so I called up my friend who was associate pastor there, and he picks up the phone and he's crying. He's like, man, he's all, Anthony, man, he was a good man. He was a good man. I'm like, what happened? What are you talking about? He's like, pastor's gone, man. He's gone. And I broke down, and then it became this big old news fiasco, which had me so mad. He had shot himself out of grief over everything that happened. And then a few months after that, I seen the music was kind of going nowhere, and I just got kind of fed up because it seemed like everybody was chasing after what they wanted. And, you know, we all decided, like, we started exploding, was doing videos in Hollywood, like all this stuff is really crazy. And everybody's, you know, saying all these different things. And I was like, this is turning into a fiasco. Like, we started this together as a group, you know? And we started this because we love God and because we wanted to make music for God that was like we like, you know? Because we know there's people in the world that love rap music that are Christians, but they don't have any other options. You know? That's why we started this. We didn't do it to be good, you know, Christian rappers and make it big. We did it because we wanted to hear stuff that we liked. And so I just told them, you know what, that's it. Come get all the stuff out of the studio, we're done. You know? And like within like a 6-month time, I guess, I literally lost everybody. You know, at the time, my ex was working at the church. All my kids were going to school there. I had a job that wasn't really paying all that great. And instantly, my kids are put in public school. Instantly, you know, my ex is out of a job. I'm, you know, losing my mind with all the stuff that's going on. I'm alone. I got nobody to talk to. Everybody's dealing with their own issues. Instead of drawing close together, they try to burst something else out of it, and it was the best that everybody, I guess, could figure out what to do. I never got any counsel on how to even deal with something like that. Nobody writes books about how the spiritual man in your life, you know, takes his life. There was nothing for me to go off of. I'm questioning God. I'm questioning, you know, I'm getting mad at people, you know, like all these people that are saying, you know, I had this prophetic word that this was going to happen. It's like, well, why didn't you say something? You know, everybody had all these things, and I was just like, man. And so I'm going through all this, and then ended up drinking and kind of just not going to church anymore. You know, I listen to worship music, and I drink tequila and play darts, and that was kind of it. And I would play with my friend, and I would talk to him about the Lord, but my confidence in the Lord was rocky, but I could never speak bad about him. I could never talk bad about God, because he's still good regardless of my situation. I just didn't understand. I was broken. It hurt. So then I get this, you know, I'm working at the school district at this time, and I'm working with kids and changing programs and like having my own class to deal with kids in private situations. So I have a 2,000 class youth group, you know what I mean? And, you know, we're not allowed to talk about God, but I'm praying with the kids, you know, and all this stuff. And I get this job working at the refinery, and my cousin, through marriage, you know, tells me about it, and so I apply, and I get this job, and all of a sudden, like, all of our financial issues are gone. Like, all of a sudden, you know, I'm going to Costco and paying $600 for groceries and not even blinking an eye. I've never been like that. It's always been top ramen, pinto beans, and potatoes, you know what I mean? Like, it's always been that way. So to go from that extreme, like, and I was ready for it. I was like, all right, God, like, this ain't mine. This is yours, whatever, you know? I felt free. Well, still, though, like, having one foot in the world, like, still drinking, starting to go to parties and things like that. And I started feeling like something was going on with my ex, and just kind of brushed it off. And then, you know, I'm fighting it. I started feeling like everything was falling apart. I called it, and like, she agreed, and like, all this stuff started to crumble. And then I started calling people that I did know in the church, just like, man, like, this is what's going on, and I need help, you know. And so these brothers started coming around me, and then they told me about this Christian counseling, and so I'm going to this Christian counseling, and like, I started fighting for my marriage, you know, like, Like, all right, I got to change. Like, my relationship with God is all messed up right now. I got to get that right. Like, you know, and I started doing everything that I knew that God would have me do. And He changed my heart, and I started to see what loving your wife like Christ loved the church looked like. And then one day I was with the kids in the grocery store shopping, and I got a text, and it was like, I love Anthony, but I'm not in love with him anymore, and I don't know how to feel about this other guy. And it went to me, and I was just like, nah, that's it. I gotta take a break because I'm dangerous right now. You know, like I'm trusting in the Lord, but at this point, like I'll knock somebody out too, and I'll even go farther than that. Like I don't have a limitation, and I'm kind of teeter-tottering in conviction. You know, like I'm not really stable. And then I separate, and then I start seeing all this stuff happen, and my ex ended up having a relationship with the cousin who got me the job, who I was there for while he went through a divorce where his wife just left him. Like I was literally like helping him stuff at the house. The kids were helping him with his parties. Like I'm being like a brother for someone who ain't a brother, you know. And he took advantage of that, and I lost it. We work in the same refinery. I drive by his car when I'm leaving. I wanted to kill him. And I had all the opportunity and resolve to, and I was going through so much, like my mind was getting hit with so much, and my kids are coming, you know, on my days off, and I just got nothing for them. They're sitting in front of the TV, I'm crying on my bed. Every time I got home from work, I would grab my 38, and I'd just hold it in my hand, and I'd be like, man, like, I can make all the voices stop. I can make everything just stop. All I gotta do is squeeze. And everything will be over. I won't have to deal with this no more. And it went on for months and months of feeling this way. And I'd have happy times, but then, you know, and I'd have times where I really felt like God was speaking to me. And I'd have moments where like I'd go out and I would pray. I would walk my unit. The refinery unit that I worked at was huge. And it had like a lake in the middle of it that held water for in case of a fire to draw from. And I would walk all the way around the unit, and I would just pray, like, God, like you say you'll never leave us and forsake us, but I feel forsaken, you know? I know that you're sovereign, but I don't see your sovereignty. Like, you know, I don't see how you see someone who's broken, who's gone through as much as he has since a kid, and, you know, something was broken and something was restored, and then you completely just removed it, like, and in a way that I'm not going back to. Like, I don't know what to do, and you know, these are my prayers for, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I started, because there was a couple times like I pulled up in front of the house with my gun and just was waiting for them to come outside. And you know, I don't have the, if I pull it out, I don't have the mentality of I'm not going to use it, you know? Like I was already like, if I do this, then it's over. I mean, it's done. So, but every time I would come close to that stuff, like I would see like my kids standing over my grave, or my kids being told like, your dad's gone, and I'd see them losing it in my mind, and it would restrain me, you know, it would calm me down for a little bit, and then my heart started changing just ever so slightly, and I started praying for forgiveness for them. You know, God, just let me forgive them. Let me let this go. And that was hard because I would pray it every day, and then I would not mean it like 5 minutes later. Like, it was so hard. And then one day I started thinking about it. I was like, you know, I need to pray for my wife, whoever that may be. Like, I had struggled. I was trying to get into this new relationship thing. It's all like about being online, and like, you know, I was searching for love, really, and not understanding it, and feeling like a weirdo by it. And I finally had gotten to a point where I just gave up. I was just like, you know what? I was with a woman in a relationship for a really short time, and I just felt like God was like, this is not yours. And I literally like called her and said, look, this ain't gonna work out. I can't be with you. Like, I'm going after something that you don't understand, and I just can't be this way. And so after that, like, I had severed everything, and I'd like been like, all right, God, it's me and you. And so I started praying for my wife, and I was asking very specific things, like, Lord, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. These are my desires. This is what I would hope that you would give me. Like, and I would pray that. Be praying for hours, because I didn't want to go back inside the unit and sit there and think, you know. And I don't know. I guess at some point it just felt like everything was crashing again, and I was still drinking. I drank to go to sleep, really. I wasn't like drinking like during my work week, but as soon as my work week was over and I had the kids, the only way I was able to really sleep was to drink. So I drank until I was passed out. I couldn't do drugs because I love my job, and there was no way I was going to lose my job, you know. Otherwise, I probably would have been way out there. But so at this time, the kids were with me, and I was tired. I was tired of being here. I was just tired of living. I was just done with it. The voices never stopped. For a minute they would, but it would be like so small, so short of time. And I went outside, sat on the porch, started smoking a cigarette, and I was just like, God, you gotta let me go. Like, stop giving me images of my kids. Stop making me think that everything's gonna be okay when it's not. It's just never gonna end. You're not stopping everything from coming against me right now. My mind is a mess. I have no rest from it because I'm driving around in a city of someone that I was married with for 17 years. And I go to work and I'm in the same refinery as the guy who is doing all this. It was like, there was no, like, most people, if something like this happens, it's like at least you can go to work and kind of get away from it. But it was everywhere I went. It was everywhere. And I got no relief, no rest. And so as I was sitting out on the porch and I was asking that, and I had already planned in my mind, like I was gonna get the kids, I was gonna take them to my ex, I was gonna come back to the apartment, I was gonna clean it all up so that it wouldn't be a mess. And then I was gonna go park down by the water and shoot myself. And I was certain this is what was gonna be. It wasn't like, I wasn't thinking of ways out. I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And as I'm praying and I'm asking God to let me go, I was like, I'm holding my phone in my hand, right? And I'm smoking a cigarette. And I was just like, God, man, like no one cares about me. Like I'll be forgotten in a week. Like no one's gonna miss me. No one even calls me. I was like, look, no one even hits me up to show that they even care. And right when I said that, my phone went off. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, is this some kind of sick joke? Like, what are you doing? And I look, and it was this lady that was a mutual friend of ours. And she's like, hey, you know this girl named Dana? I was like, what? No, I don't. No, come on, you know her. No, I don't know what you're talking about. No, come on, seriously, you guys did like 1,000 shows together. Like, you guys know each other. I'm like, I don't know. When I was doing music, I was married. I wasn't, looking around, And then she sends me a picture, and I was like, huh, well, she's beautiful. But I still don't know who she is. And that's where this came from, because this was the picture that she sent me. And so I was like, I kind of texted back and forth with her for a little bit, just trying to, okay, whatever, right? And then I got I stopped texting her, and I went on Facebook and I looked her up. I was like, who is this person? What are they about? And she had this testimony. And as I sat there and read the testimony, it was like God was confirming every single one of my prayers. Like, the lifestyle that she lived mirrored mine. And at the time I was asking God, like, I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't understand what I've been through. I want someone that I can talk about stuff and they'll relate. And she was like, had all these videos where she's ministering, and I didn't want someone who I had to drag to Christ. Like, I didn't want someone I had to drag in a relationship with God to. I wanted someone we could hold hands and walk to. And so, like, that's another check. She's beautiful, check. And so, like, all of a sudden I started getting interested, and like, from that moment on, it like sparked life back into me.
So is that where the scripture verse came?
Yeah, actually, I was talking about getting a scripture verse. Psalms 118:17.
I shall not die, but I shall live and recount the deeds of the Lord.
And right after I got that, or right before I got that, I was thinking about like something. I wanted to get scripture on me. I wanted to get a tattoo. And Dana had found that scripture, and when she read it, I just was like, whoa, like that is so going on me. And because it meant everything. And then we were looking at some other stuff, and I found this thing that someone had posted about suicide. And it was this type of movement where people were bringing awareness because there's so much suicide going on. I think since all this happened, I think I've heard of probably about 5 or 6 people that have taken their lives. All different ages,
I mean, another pastor.
Another pastor committed suicide. It's just like there's just this hopelessness, and the semicolon, which is a symbol of like,
to be continued.
Yeah, when you write out a sentence, a semicolon is it's starting a new sentence. It's doing something else. It's changing your story, And so I got that for that purpose too. And yeah, I mean, obviously things are different now. I'm married to a woman that I got the picture of, and now I'm just trying to, it's not like it's easy. It's not like the life is perfect now. But there's hope. And what I look at when I see all these things happening and all these people, they come to a place where they truly believe like there's no hope. There's no way out. And all you need is like a spark of hope. You don't need a very big bit of hope. You just need a little bit. And one thing stuck with me when my cousin had committed suicide was like, tomorrow's got to be better. Like, however today is, however bad it is, whatever's going on, tomorrow has to be better. You know, and I really just hope that whoever hears that, whoever hears the story, like this is real life, that you can make it, that there is hope, and the hope is in Christ Jesus. Like he doesn't leave you. It seems like it. It seems like you're all alone. It seems like everything's just deteriorated and falling apart, but really it's not. He's holding it all together and he's walking with you through it. And you just have to look up. We look all lateral, but we never look horizontal when we're going through it. And that's what we got to do. We got to stop looking lateral at everything and start looking up and seeing who it is that really has us. And it changes everything. The perspective of everything changes. And there's all kinds of places out there that help people to talk to. You don't have to go through it alone, even though it feels like you're the only person in the world that's going through it. I felt that way. But you're not. And there's a lot of people that you'll see with that are survivors that didn't do it. And I hope that helps you.
Amen, baby.